I welcome you to this Excel adventure. So in this course, we are going to start with the most basic concepts and slowly build up our skills. We will learn how to organize data, perform calculations, create charts, and analyze data. Even if you're a complete beginner and you have never used Excel before, you'll be able to build a project like this one once you're done with the course. Actually, this will be our final project that we'll build once we are done with this course. So this is a travel spreadsheet. You can just choose your destination from here, and all the information here will change in line with what you have chosen. It shows you the total cost to your destination. It breaks it down there. You have a simple graph to visualize. Then you can also see the places you have not visited, and here you'll be able to see the experience that you have had at a certain location. If it's a place that you have visited, you'll be able to see your comment like that. So this is what we're going to build once we are done with this course. You can also consider joining my newsletter, where I share weekly insights about data analytics and software development. The link is in the description. Alright, let's get started. So before we do anything else, you need to make sure that you have Excel installed on your machine. You can just go here on the Windows tab, and here where the applications are, you can just scroll down and look for the program called Excel. So in my case, it's this one, and once you click on it, you have this welcome interface there. So this will be the first screen that will greet you once you open Excel. So here you can just click on blank workbook, and Excel is going to open this interface. Now, just in case you don't have Excel installed on your machine, you can just go to your browser, any browser of your choice. Then you can go to office.com, this URL here. You'll be required to sign in, but it's free to use. And once you sign in, you can access Excel from here. You just click on it, then you can click on new blank workbook here. This is going to work the same way as this one that is installed on your machine. So I'll be switching between this one on my desktop and the one online, just to show that there's no difference between the two, except some fewer functionalities and more functionalities here and there. So once you have opened your Excel program, this will be the interface. You can see we have tabs here on top, and each of these tabs contains different tiles that we can see here that we'll get to use a lot as we go by. So you can switch between these different tabs here, and as you can see, as I switch between the tabs, also these tiles are changing. So right now you don't have to worry what this means. We're going to know them as we go by. Then down here you're going to see where it says sheet 1. You can add another sheet by clicking the plus sign here. That will be sheet 2. So you have this as your workbook. Then within that workbook you have different sheets, which is sheet 1 and sheet 2, just like pages in the book. Then you have these that are labeled A, B, C, D, all the way going this side, and these will be our columns. That's where we're going to enter our data. And when we look at it going this side, we have rows numbered from 1 all the way down there. So we can easily reference any cell from here. So if I click this one, this cell is in column F and row 5. And in case you want to find out something, that can be one of the easy way to reference them. So this is the basic interface of Excel that we're going to work with. We're going to put all of our data within these cells, and these cells can be adjusted as we wish, including this size you can adjust as you wish, and so on, just so we can fit the data that we need. So basically, this is the Excel interface. Let's go ahead and enter some data and see how we can work with Excel. Now that we understand the interface of Excel, we can begin to work with data. So we're going to enter our data in any of these cells that we can see here. So I'll start with this cell. You just click on it and you begin to type. So I'll just say names. Then you can press tab to go to the next cell, which I'll call numbers. Again, tab to the next cell, I'll say dates, like so. Then within these columns that I've said name, I'll just enter some random names. And you can keep going. So we can see that some of the names are not fitting within this column. So you can just easily adjust this column. You go in between these two columns here. You can see when I reach this line, the cursor changes like so. Once it does that, you can just hold down the left key on the mouse and just drag this line where you want it to be like so. If you need more room, you can extend it further. I'll just put it here. And you can see that these names that I've written here, automatically they are aligned to the left of this column. When I write the numbers here like that, you can see that all the numbers are aligned to the right of this column. Now this different alignment does not mean so much in Excel, but it helps you to quickly know that what you have written here is a string and what you have written is a number. Automatically all the numbers and the dates are going to be aligned to the right and the strings are going to be aligned to the left. But you can easily change this alignment and it doesn't have any effect. So if we write the dates here, okay, so there'll be times you write something and it looks like this. It just means this column is too small for the data that you have entered. You just go there and adjust the column there like that, and you have your data like that. So you can see again the dates are aligned to the right. So once you have done that, you can format this data that you have, and it's very easy to do that. First of all, I'll just click on this one. Now that it's highlighted, I'll just hold down the left key on the mouse and just drag it to the left all the way to this one until everything like that is highlighted. Once it's highlighted, I can change their formatting. I can go to this one and I can say bold, and this will change into bold. I can change the background of these cells just going on the bucket here, and if you're not sure about any of these tiles and what they do, you can just hover on them like that and it will give you a simple tip to show you what that tile is about. I'll just click on this one and I can choose any color here, so let's say this one like so, and we can see the background changes. Equally, we can do the same. We can highlight all these that we have written there, then go back to the bucket. I'll just choose a light gray color like this one, and you can see that it changes like that. This helps to format this data any way that you want. Further, there are other tips that are very helpful when you're working with data. For example, if I want the months, I'll not type all the months that I need. I can just type January like so. Then I'll just go on this corner. You can see there's something on the corner, and as soon as I hover on it, this sign changes to a small plus sign. I can just hold using the mouse there and just drag down like that, and it's going to give me all the months that I need. You can see automatically it moves from January, February all the way to December, then it starts again. So again, if we need more room for these months, you can just extend this like that, and we have that space. We can do the same for the days. You can say Monday. Again, you go on the corner, you just drag it down all the way until maybe here, and it will give you all the days of the week. Again, you can give it more room. There we have it. Now this works even if you just use the shortcut. Instead of saying January, just say Jan like that, then drag it down like that. It works. And the same is true for the days. You can just say Mon, which is Monday, drag it down, and it does the same trick. So this makes it very easy to work with days and months rather than entering these manually. If you want them arranged like that as they are on the calendar, this becomes easy to do. We can go ahead and get each day of a month. Let's say for January, we can just type 1 January. And instead of typing the rest like 2 January 3, we can just drag this down all the way until the day that we want. Let's say 13, like that. Of course, this works even when you don't start on the first day. We can start on 20 January, like so. Drag it down and do to work until it goes into the other month. But if you use another string, let's say I'll just put it in here, let's say data analysis. So if we use this string and just drag it down, it will just copy it into the other cells. Let's do that and see. It doesn't do anything special, it just copies it. So if you want to copy a lot of text, this is one way that you can do it. So we can see that these have been highlighted. Maybe you don't want them highlighted. You can just highlight them, all of them. You go back to the bucket and you can say no fill here. And maybe if you want a different color, you can choose a different color. So I'll just say no fill and I'll go to board and remove it, and they become normal like the rest of the data. So this makes it very easy to work with your data, and this is how you enter your data in Excel. Okay, so let's clear all of these, including the formats. So just highlight everything in here like so. Make sure everything is selected. Then we can finally use some of the tiles here. So at the far end here, you can see where it says clear. Just click on it, and where it says clear all, you click on it, and everything will be cleared, including the formats like that. Now you saw in the previous lesson how we could just enter the month like January and drag it down like that, and it would fill for the other month. That's what we want to do in this one. We want to make our own list that behaves like this, because this is just a custom list. Now if there are names or there's some data that you keep using every time, or maybe it's in a classroom, the names of students that you want to be using every time, you can just make a custom list. It's like an automated list that you can use every time you want to. So in my case, I have made one. I can just type Exuda Hills like so. Then once I drag this down, it's going to populate with different names, a lot of them like that. So you can see these are different names that will populate just by writing this one and dragging it down. So we want to see how we can make this list. So we want to make a list of data analysis tools that we can use every time that we want to. So to do that, just go on File, where it says File here, you click on it, and down here you can see where it says Options. Just click on it. Then you have this pop-up window. Just go where it says Advanced, click on it, and scroll down until you reach where it says Create List for use in sorts and fill sequences. Click on where it says Edit Custom List. So you can see all those lists that we are using, they are here, including the one that I made, which is this one. So to make your own list, you can just go to the top here where it says New List, then you type your own list. So the tools that we need, we just say Excel, Google Sheets, SQL, Power BI, Python, R, Tableau, Julia. So once you're done with your list, it can be any list that you want. This is just an example. So you just click OK. Again, you click OK, and just like that, your list has been made. Now to use it, you just go to any cell and type the first name on the list. In our case, it was Excel. Once you do that, just drag this down, and you can see it fills with all that we have written there. Just give it some space, and there we have it. So next we're going to look at sorting and filtering data. Now I'll save you the time here. I'll just bring in some data, and I'll leave the worksheet in the description below so that you can get it and use the same data. So we have the candidate here, the first interview, the second interview, and also the status. Some of the candidates were employed, others failed the interviews. What we want to do here is to sort these candidates either by interview 1 or interview 2. Then later on we're going to filter this candidate based on the status here. So let's start with sorting. So sorting is very easy to do in Excel. So if you want to sort by interview 1 here, you can just click on any value in interview 1. So just click on this one for example, then right click on your mouse, and you have these options here. And from these options, we can go to sort, and we can click the kind of sort that we want. In this case, we want largest to smallest, and then it sorts our data like that from largest to smallest. So you can see that in interview 1, the largest score was 97. If we scroll down, the lowest score was 51. We can do the same. We can sort interview 2 from largest to smallest. So let's do that. Again, we right click on any of these values like so. Then you go to sort, then again largest to smallest. Again, it will sort the entire table from largest to smallest. So for interview 2, we can see the highest value was 96. So that makes it very easy to look for the data that we want. But we can take this further and just filter this data by all the candidates that were employed. So to do that, again, you just click on any of these, right click, then you just go to filter by selected cell value like that. So you can see it just leaves us with only those that were employed. I can undo this and just click on failed, then I go back again, then filter by cell value, then it's just going to give me all the candidates that failed. So the other thing we can do is we can select this entire table like so, and after doing that, we can go to this different tab. Now it's time to use another tab. We can go to insert, and here on insert we can pick on table. Just click on it, so it will give you a pop-up and ask you a few questions. My table contains headers. You just mark this one, and click OK. And Excel will change this data that we had into an official Excel table. And once it does that, you can see here there's a new tab called Table Design. Here you can design your table however you want. So you can see here it has header row, total row, blended rows. If we uncheck this blended rows, you can see the rows are gone. Then we have these filters there. If we uncheck the filters, you can see they are gone, but for now we need them. We want to use them to filter our data. So once you have done that, you have an official Excel table. This table makes it very easy to filter your data. You can just place this drop down here and you can select the data that you want from this. So we don't want to see those that are employed. Press OK, and it will just give us those that are failed. You can go back to it, and this time we just want to see those that are employed. We remove the failed, OK, and it gives us those. You can do the same even using these interviews. Let's say we just want to filter by those who got 96. So deselect the rest and just choose 96, then OK, and we just have 2 people that got 96 in the second interview. So this table is very, very powerful to help you easily filter your data. The Excel table has many other benefits, but we're going to see them as we go through this course. Now, let's say that for some reason I forgot to add another candidate in here. They were employed, but I forgot to add their details. Well, let's see how we can add them. So wherever we want to add them in this table, we can just click on that value. Then I'll just right click on this one. Then there is where it says insert. Now here you have 2 options. You can either insert a column or you can insert a row above. So you just click on row above. So it will create this empty space here. So here we can enter the person who was missing. Just like that would have added our employee. We can go ahead and add another column if we wanted to. You can just click on any column in here, then right click. Again, you say insert. You can insert a column either to the right or to the left. So in this case, let's say to the left, you can insert that column, name it whatever we want, like so, and would have added our column. So that's one of the easy ways you can use to add columns and rows. Then for some reason, if you wanted to get rid of the column or the rows, you can easily do that. Just click on it, right click, then you can just say delete. So it will show you there, delete table column, and you can delete it. Equally, you can do the same for that. You go on delete, and you can delete it like that. Now for everything I've done, there are a lot of shortcuts that can help you to do it faster, but we're going to learn those as we go by. So the next thing we want to do is, now that we have our data here, it would be nice if we were to highlight some of this data. For example, if we have 8 and above, we want to highlight it in a different color. That is called conditional formatting, and that's what we want to do. So for example, I'll just highlight this column like that. Then on this tab here, I'll go where it says conditional formatting. Just click on it. Then you have a lot of options here. I'll just choose the first one for a start, and we can pick also the first one that says greater than. Here you can pick the value that you want to be highlighted for interview 2. Let's say we just want 80 and above, so we'll just put an 80 there. Then here you choose the color that will be filled once this criteria has been met. So right now it says light red fill with dark red color. You can change that if you want. You can go for yellow, for green, or whatsoever that is here. So let's pick the green like that. Then you press OK, and you can see right away that these values have been highlighted. Only the values that are above 80 have been highlighted. For interview 1, we'll do the same. We'll just highlight in a different color, but this time we'll highlight all the values that are above 70. So again, you just highlight the entire column, then you go to the conditional formatting tile, you click on it, you pick the first option that says highlight sales rules, then again we'll go for greater than, then we want greater than 70. This time it will be in red, it's okay, you click OK, then you have all the values highlighted that are greater than 70 like that. Now there are many conditions that we can use. This include formulas and some special conditions, as we'll be able to see later on in the course. So again, I'll just highlight this one just to see the options we have. I'll go to conditional formatting. So here you can see if you just want the top 10 items, the top 10%, the bottom 10 items, the ones that are above average, ones below average. And as though that is not enough, you can even make your own rule that your data must obey in order to carry out conditional formatting. Now that we understand how to enter our data, let's move on to formulas and functions. Now, formulas and functions are what makes Excel a very powerful software. They're going to make your work in Excel very easy, and you'll be able to do a lot of work in just a few lines of these formulas and functions. So let's get started. Now, every time you want to use a formula, you must start with an equal sign. So whenever you enter an equal sign like this, Excel will know that what you're about to write is either a formula or a function. So let's start with a simple formula. We'll say 1 plus 1, and when we press enter, it will calculate and it will give us 2. So we can even do bigger numbers. We can say equals whatever this number is plus this another number. Excel will do the calculation and give us that number. So this will be addition. Let's just write here. Okay, so I just wrote these headers and did a little bit of formatting. We saw how we can add. We can also do the same for subtraction. We can say equals. We get the number that we want. Let's say 10 minus. Then it's just say maybe 2. And Excel will do the calculation. Of course, you can do it even for bigger numbers. And Excel will do the calculations. For multiplication, you can say the same. You can say equals, let's say 2. So you don't use the X sign here. You say 2, use the asterisk. That's the one that stands for multiplication. Then you can put any number we want, enter, and it will multiply. Again, you can do the same for bigger numbers, and it will do the multiplication. And for division, we'll do the same. We'll say equals, let's say 10. And then for divide, use the backslash symbol, this one, and you can divide with whatsoever we want, like that. And then we have our value, and we can go ahead and use a bigger number, like that, and Excel will do the calculations. So that's how you can easily work with formulas. So this is one way you can do it. The other way you can do it is just using cell references. So let me just get rid of this one. I'll just go to clear here and clear everything. So we can have different values in this column and others in this column. I'll just put some random values. We can have our values there like that, and in this cell we can have the results of these values. So we can do our multiplication, our addition, subtraction, and division on these values. So for example, if we wanted to add this one and this one, we can just say equals, then we pick this value and say plus, and we pick this other value. We say equals, and Excel will get this one and add them and give us the results. Equally, we can multiply this and that by doing the same. Equals, you get this value, multiplied it by this value, enter, and then you have your result. We can also divide. We can say equals this one divided by this value, enter, and you have your result there. We can also subtract and say this one minus this one, and we get the result there. So we can also multiply, divide, add, and subtract even if the numbers are not in the same order like that. For example, I can get this one and add it with this one. So here I will just say equals. I get this value, then say plus this one here and enter, and I have my value. Just add this one and this one. And you can divide and do whatsoever you want with any value in any of these cells. As long as you start with the equal sign at the beginning of the cell, then you can enter the formula that you want. Equally, if you want, you can combine these operations. We can say equals, I get this value plus this one, then minus this value here multiplied by, let's say, this value, and divide by, let's say, that value, enter, and we have our value there. So as long as you put the equal sign at the beginning, you're able to use formulas like that. Now let's make this a little bit more practical. I'll go to another sheet here. I just created another sheet in advance. So this sheet has the name, the days that this employee worked, the rate per day, and the total end. So let me just quickly put in the rates here. So we have our rates here. Now when you look at them, they just look like ordinary numbers like this one. So to show that this is currency, we can add either the dollar sign, the pound sign, or whatever currency that you're using here. So just highlight everything here. Then we'll go to this number tower here. So here where there's general, just click the drop down. Then let's go where it says more number formats here. Just click on it. Then choose currency there, and it will show you how your currency will look like. So mine will be this, which is 12 quarter, but I don't want it in quarter. I'll just choose the dollar. So scroll down here and choose US dollar there. So it shows that it has 2 decimal places. I'll just remove the decimal places here by clicking this one, or just entering the value 0 here. Then I'll click OK, and you can see all of them have the dollar sign before the number starts. Now we know what this is. So to find out how much each of these people earned here, we're going to multiply this number of days here with this rate per day. So what we'll do, just say equals, then get this value here and multiply it by this one there. Press enter and you have the value. So this person in 40 days earning $12 per day and a total of $480. So we can do the same for this one. We can say equals, we select this value, multiply it by this second value, press enter, and we have our value. Now you can see there are a lot of values going down here. We'll not keep on saying equals, then we select this one and that one and press enter. This will take a lot of time. What we can actually do is just to copy down this formula all the way to the end. So you can just click this one down, and you can see on the corner here, once this button changes to this small plus sign, you can just drag it down all the way to the end, and you to use this formula for the rest of these. This becomes very easy to do. So for each one of these, it's just applying the same formula and multiplying these. So that's how you use formulas. Now let's look at relative and absolute reference. It's something that comes up a lot in Excel, and it's something that you have to know early on. So what I'll do is just to duplicate this file. So I'll just go on this one. I'll just hover on this file. Then once I'm there, I'll just press Ctrl on the keyboard and just drag this file onto this plus sign like that. Then it will make a copy of this file. So there's no difference between these two files. Even though I'm switching, you can see there's no difference. I'll just rename this file by just right clicking on this file and say rename. So I'll just give it a random name like that. Nice name. Then I'll just delete these values here. Just highlight them. I'll go to clear and clear all. Now let's suppose that the rate for each of these was the same. So let's say all of them were earning $20 per day. So we can just put a 20 there and drag this 20 down. Then we can do our multiplication by saying equals. We get this value, multiply it by this one, and we'll get their total earning. Then you can just drag this one all the way to the end and it will work. But what I want to do in this exercise is that instead of putting 20 all through this column, we'll just delete this entire column. So just select it like that, or you can select any cell in this column, then right click, then press delete here and just choose entire column like that. So the column has been deleted, and just here I'll say rate per day, which is $20 as we saw like that. So instead of putting it in its own column, I'll just put it here. Then when doing the multiplication here, we'll say equals this amount here multiplied by the rate there, like so. Then press enter. You can see it does the same. It will just get this value and multiply it by this one. Then we have 800. Then we can apply this formula all the way for the rest of these guys. It will get each of these and multiply it with this one. Now watch what happens here. I'll just drag this formula down to this one. Now you can see that we are having an error here, and there's a 0. Surely 13 multiplied by 20 shouldn't be a 0. So you can see that most of these values are wrong. Now what has gone wrong? So let's just double click this one. So you can see that it's multiplying this value with this empty value here. Now why is it doing that? So what is happening here is an issue of relative and absolute reference. So when we go to this value and double click, you can see it moves to this one. When we go to this one, double click this one, it will move to this one. So it moves to this one will move to the next like that. So this red one keeps going down. So instead of getting this 13 and multiplying it by a 20, it's getting this 13 and multiplying it by a 0 here, since there is nothing. Then here, instead of getting a 21 and multiplying it by 20, it's getting the 21 and multiplying it by this number of days here. So when we click this value, you can see it's this one and this one. Again, this one, instead of getting 36 and multiplying it by 20, it's getting 36 and multiplying it by 40, this one. So this keeps going down. So to avoid that, we'll go back to the formula and we'll change this 20 here, which is the F1, to be absolute reference and not relative reference. So to make it absolute reference, you add the dollar here and you also add the dollar there, like that. So what will happen here is that this 40 will multiply by a 20. Then in the next one, this 13 will multiply by a 20. Then the 21 by a 20. This 20 will not be moving because of these dollars that we have put here. Once you do that, press enter. And you have that one. I'll just drag this one all the way to the end. And now you can see that we have the right calculations. If we double click on this one, you can see that this 13 is multiplying with the 20. In the other instance, this 13 would have multiplied by this empty space here. So I hope you get that one. The first time I came across relative and absolute reference, I had difficulties in understanding what was happening. But just know that if we don't make this an absolute reference, the second time we use this formula, it will not multiply it with the 20, it will move one step down here. The third time we use the formula here, it will move 3 times up to there. The fourth time, it will keep moving down like that. If you have difficulties understanding relative and absolute reference, you can just leave a comment in the description below or just make a specific video just on this one. Functions makes Excel a very powerful software. We'll be able to do a lot of work using functions. So if you want to use a function, you can just go in any cell where you want to use it from and start with equals. Then once you begin to type any letter, let's say C, you'll be able to see a list of functions in Excel that you can use. So there are a lot of them that do a lot of work. And if you're not sure what a function does, you can just go to this function helper here. So here is where you're going to see a function. So if I start here, you can see there it shows and there are suggestions here. But you can click this one that says F with a sub X there. When you just click on it, it will bring a function helper, something that will help you to understand functions. So there are a few functions that are listed here, and as soon as you click on them, you'll be able to see their information there. You can also type the functions that you are looking for here. So if you have an idea of a function, you can just search for it in here. Once you search, you'll be able to see there. And when you have it, you have all the information that you need there. So for now, we're going to use functions directly in our cells. There's no difference between using this and using the cells. So we have this data that I've prepared in advance. We have employees there, we have the department, and we also have the salary. So these are salaries per month, and we want to find out how much we are paying for salaries every month as a company. So to do that, if we are just using formulas, we can say equals, then we can get this amount, add it to the next one, then add to the next one, and keep doing that until we are done with all of them, then press enter, and it will show us our results there. As you can see, this is not the right way of doing it. If you have a lot of entries, you are going to struggle. The easiest way to do it is to use functions. So to add all these that are here, we are going to use the sum functions by saying equals sum, which is this one here. Once you have it, you can just press tab on the keyboard and it will pick it. Then underneath here, we have a little helper that shows you what you must add to this function. So in our case, we want to add everything in here. So we're just going to highlight everything that is in here. Once we do that, we can cross the function, enter, and it's going to add all of these and give us the total results there. So this is much easier than adding each one of these individually. So let's quickly look at other functions. So I'll just list them here and see how we can use them. Okay, there we are. So if we want to find the average salary for all these employees, we can just go in this one, say equals. We can use the average function, average. And again, we choose this entire column, close it from there, enter, and this will give us the average salary. If we want to find the maximum salary, which is the highest salary here, we'll say equals max. Again, we'll just select the entire column, close, enter, and it shows us that it should be 3,000. And when we look into this column, we can can see 3000 here, and there's no value greater than 3000. If we want the minimum, we'll do the same, equals min, choose the entire column, cross, and it will give us the lowest salary, which is 1400, and we can see we don't have any amount lower than 1400. For the count, it's just going to count all these entries individually. So in our case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we expect to have a 14 here. So say equals count, you just select everything, cross, enter, and we have 14. Then the median, again, we'll say equals median, we enter everything, and this will be our median salary. So functions makes it very, very easy to work with Excel. Now the other thing we want to do here is data validation. So I've left this column for departments so that we can use some data validation here. Data validation makes it very easy to enter our data. So instead of putting them individually here like marketing, IT, finance, and so on, this will take a lot of time. The easiest way to do it is using data validation. So I'll select this entire column, then I'll go to the data tab here on top. Then once we are here, we'll click on data validation. So here where it says allow, you can just click the drop down, then you say list, then here you put in the list that you want. It must be comma separated. So in our case, we want marketing, IT, finance, animations. Once you do that, you press OK, and as soon as you do that, when you click on any of these cells here, you'll be able to see an arrow there, so you can just click on it and pick any department that you want. Okay, so once we do that, now we can use another function to calculate how many of our employees are working in marketing or in finance, in IT, and so on. So I'll just put them here. So to find all the employees working in IT, we'll just say equals count if. So that's another function that we can use. So the range that we want to count is this one, and the criteria should be IT, which is this one. You can just click on it, then press enter, and there you have it. So there are only 2 employees working in IT. So if we change this one and move them to IT, you can see these updates. We have 3 there. So we can do the same for animations, marketing, and finance. We can just go to this one, drop it down so that it copies the formula, and you have 4 employees in animation, 3 in marketing, and 2 in finance. Again, if we change, we move this one from animations to finance, this one updates accordingly. So when you combine data validation and functions, you can see already that you'll be able to do extraordinary things with Excel. So there are many things about functions that we can learn, and there are many functions that we can use. But these are just a few for a start. We'll look at some of them as we go by. So as I mentioned when we were starting, we can switch between Excel on the desktop and also Excel on the web. Right now I'm on Excel on the web. I just went to this URL here, office.com, then I just logged in. Then I opened this Excel file, which is this one here. What I'm about to do, you can do either on the desktop or on the web here. If you have Excel that is older than 2021, the XLOOKUP function will not be available. If you use it on the web, you will have access to it. Now, the lookup functions are very popular in Excel. They are very common. There are some functions that we are going to use frequently. They help us retrieve data very quickly. Now, in this case, we have this data. Now, we want to get the department and the salary of any employee here. So in the first place, we want to use VLOOKUP to get the salary and department of Diana. And in the next one, we want to use the XLOOKUP to get the salary and department. So here is how the VLOOKUP works. So here in the department, we'll say equals VLOOKUP. So the lookup value is this name that we are looking for here. We can put it in quotation like this. You put a comma. Then the table array, you select your entire table, which is this one in our case. You put a comma again. Then for the column index, that's a column that we are interested in. So if we look out for the name in this one, what do we want to get? In our case, we want to get the department. So the department here is column 1, 2. So you put a 2 there. Just cross the function, enter, and you can see that Diana here is in finance. And when you go to this one, you can see it's finance. If we change this one and take it to marketing, you can see it also change and goes to marketing. change, you put it to animations, it will change there. So it makes it very easy to look for any information that you want. Again, for the salary, we'll do the same. We'll just say equals VLOOKUP. So the lookup value again is Diana. So we don't have to type it here. We can just click on this one. We can just reference this cell where we already have the name. Then for the table array, again, we'll copy the entire table. The column index here. So one to column number 3, that's where the salary is, 1, 2, 3. So you put a 3, cross the function, enter. And we have 2,300. When we go to Diana there, it's 2,300. So that's how the VLOOKUP works. The XLOOKUP is a simpler and much more powerful function than the VLOOKUP. So the major difference is that the VLOOKUP works horizontally. So if this employee name was somewhere here in this column, it will not give us anything because it will move from here going this side. But in this case, we're able to get the value because the employee name was here. So just to show what I'm saying, I'll just cut this here and I'll just paste it here. So you can see that the VLOOKUP in this case will give an error because the employee is at the end. It will move from here going this side, but there are no other values there. So that's what I meant when I said the VLOOKUP works horizontally from left to right. So I'll just take it back like that. But for the XLOOKUP, it doesn't matter the arrangement of these, it will still work. So in our case, let's get the department here using the XLOOKUP. We'll say equals XLOOKUP. So we'll start with the lookup array. We can either type the name here or we can just select it from here. Then for the lookup array, you just choose the array where this name you have selected is in. So in our case, this name is in this list. Then for the return array here, you just choose what you want to get. So we want to get the department. So this is the array you want to get. For if not found, you put a value that you want to be written if nothing is there. So for us, we can just put nothing in quotation marks, or we can just say not found. And you can just close the function, enter, and you have animations like that. Again, when we change Diana from animations to finance, you have finance like that. You can do the same even for salary equals XLOOKUP. The lookup value again is this one. We want it from here and we want to get the salary, which is this one. Again, if it's not there, we'll just leave this one for now. We'll just close it from here, enter, and we have our value there. So if I just delete one value from here, you can see it's saying not found because we had mentioned that if this is not available, it should say this, while in the second one we didn't specify. So for the XLOOKUP, it doesn't matter the arrangement of these. So we can again just move this column like we did in the first one, just put it here. You can see that the XLOOKUP still works, but the VLOOKUP fails. So it's always better to use the XLOOKUP because it provides more functionality and it's much more reliable. So looking at functions would take us a lot of time because there are a lot of functions that would need to cover. It can be a course on its own. But on my channel, I have a lot of short videos that look at specific function and how they behave. So I'll just leave a link on top or in the description below. Charts and graphs are a very easy way to explain data. So in this video, we are going to understand how we can use charts, starting with this simple table. So we have the student, we have 5 different tests and want to see the progress within this table using simple charts and graphs. For a start, we're going to use a random function to generate the results for all these tests. So just say equals rand. It doesn't take in an argument. We have that. You can either turn this into percentage or just multiply it by 100 so that you can get the whole number. So I'll just change it into percentage by just going here and clicking this percentage sign. Once we do that, we can just drag this one all the way to test 5 and we can drag this one all the way to the last student. So just like that, we have all the results that we need. Now we can show the progress for this test in this progress column. So just click on it, then we'll go to insert, click on line. Then here where it says data range, we'll just select all our data up to the last student like that. And here where it says location range, you select this location. That's where we want to put our progress up to the last one. Once we do that, we just press OK, and you can see that it puts this line that helps us to understand what is happening here. You can change the format of this line and the color. You can choose maybe, let's say, the black one. You can even choose to add the high points here, or preferably you can just put the markers for every other point, but I'll just put the high point and the low point. So like that, it helps us to understand what is happening to each of the students. We don't have to look at these scores individually. We can just look at this progress line and be able to see what is happening to each of these students. So if you don't want to use the lines, I'll just delete this. We can use a column chart. You can just go back to this cell, then we'll go back to insert, then we'll click column here. Again, it will ask us the same question. We'll select the data range, and then we'll select the column range here. Then we can press OK, and you can see it adds the columns like that. Okay, and if you want it to be more visible, you can just adjust these lines like so, and you'll be able to see what is happening to each of these students like that. So this is an easy way to visualize data, simply using the line chart and also the column chart. But that does not tell the whole story. We can use charts separately and control them as much as we like. So I have a table of products here, and I have the sales. So what I want to do is to put a pie chart that shows me the distribution of these. So to be able to do that, you can just select this entire table. Once it's selected, you can go to insert, and here you're going to see different graphs and charts that you can use. In our case, we're interested in the pie chart, so I'll just click the drop down here and choose the kind of chart that I need. So you can either choose this one, this 3D pie chart, or this donut chart here. I'll go with the basic one here, and once you do that, you can customize this however you like. There's some customization here that have been made for you that you can just pick like that. You can also change the colors here. So maybe if you just want this color, and it will also change the designs there. I just leave it as the basic one like that. So apart from these customizations here, we can do our own customizations. For example, you can just select this pie chart, and anywhere just right click, and then you can format the data or format the data series. Let's start with the data labels. So here, if you want, you can remove the percentages, and it will be like that. So if you want, you can change the position of these labels. You can put them at the center like that, or you can put them outside, or you can choose the best fit, which Excel will do it for you. I'll just leave them outside for now. There are a lot of customizations that we can make. Even this one that we see here, we can edit it and just say, if you want, you can delete these legends here by just pressing delete on the keyboard, and it will be like that. But I'll just leave them there. There are just a lot of customizations that we can make. Now, while we are on this chart, we can just right click and change the chart style. So we can choose a different one. We can go for this one, and it will still work like that. Once you do that, you can see even here there's a change in the designs. If you click on this one, you have that one there, and you have a lot of customizations that you can make. So that's the most basic way of using charts. Of course, you can play with this data and change your own charts and so on. But the other thing I want to show is we have this different table where we have the month, we have the sales, and we also have the profit. And we want to show this on a chart. What we can do is just select the entire table. Again, we'll go to insert, then insert chart. So we can click on the recommended charts here, and Excel will look for the best chart, and that's the one that it's going to give us. So let's click on it, and you can see it provides some of the charts that we can use. Let's say we pick the first one. Then you have your chart like that. You have the months here, and you have the sales there, and you also have the line that shows the profit and the line that shows the sales. These two lines can also be different charts. You can just go to change chart, then go here where it says combo. So you can see there it gives us an example, but we can pick this one or that one, and we can do a customization here. I'll just go with this one, and I'll just say OK. And here we can see we have the bars for sales, and we have the line for profit. Again, you can adjust this one as you wish. You can change the styling here, and you can customize it to your satisfaction. So that's the basic way of working with charts. You can download these worksheets and experiment with all these different charts so that you can gain more familiarity in how these work. So here are just a few techniques for data cleaning. Before you do data analysis, you must always make sure that your data is clean, there are no duplicates, all the values are in the right format, numbers should be numbers, and strings should be strings. So in this case, we want to check for duplicates. So you can either use a formula or you can just check using Excel features. So to use a formula, you need to use a unique function, then select your data. But in this case, we'll just use the Excel feature. So what we'll do is just select your entire table like so. Once you do that, you just go to the data tab here and you click where it says remove duplicates here. So Excel will just check for a few things here and we want to remove from all these columns. Then you just click OK and you can see from here it says 9 duplicate values found and removed. You click OK. You can see our table has even become smaller. So all the values that we are here are gone. So this is the easiest way of removing duplicates in your entries. Then the other thing we want to look at is there will be times where you have data just in one column, but it's hard to work with data in one column like that. For example, this data has the first name, last name, and the customer ID, but they're all in one column. So there are many ways that we can use to separate this data. We can use formulas and functions, we can just use features, and so on. So for the first one, we'll just use an Excel feature. I'll just select this data here. Once we do that, we'll just go to the data tab. Then we'll click where it says text to columns. Just click on it and here you choose delimited. You click next. Then here you choose your delimiter. If your data is separated by commas, you put a comma. If it's separated by a space, you put a space. Like in our case here, it's separated by a space, so we'll pick a space. And you can see here it shows us the example of how our data will look like. And this is what we want. We'll click next. If we had a date, let's say in this column, we'll choose date there. But as it is okay. We'll just say finish. And just like that, our data has been separated. Now we can just change the headers here on top. Like so, and our data would have been separated. That's one way you can do it, but the easiest way to do it is to use the flash fill. So for the flash fill, you just enter the first entries here. So in our case, we just enter these in their columns manually, like so. Once you do that, for the rest, you just click in this cell and you just press Ctrl and A. Like that, it fills for all of them up to the end. You go in the next one, you do the same, Ctrl E, and it does it. And even in this one, Ctrl E. And all your data has been separated like that. You still even have the original that you can make reference to. If you don't want it, you can just get rid of it. Like so, and you have your data there. The flash fill can also be accessed here on the data tab and here where it says flash fill. So that's an easy way of cleaning your data. There'll be other things you come across during data cleaning, but just make sure that before you do data analysis, your data is cleaned out. Dates should be in date formats, numbers should be in number formats, strings should be as they are, like that. The other thing that makes Excel very powerful are pivot tables. So pivot tables are a simpler way of analyzing your data. In our case, we have the customer here, denoted by customer A to E. We have the products there, the product cost, the revenue, and the order ID. Now we want to analyze this data and be able to find how much revenue we earned from each customer and how much revenue we earned from each of these products. We also want to find out how much profit we earned from each customer and how much profit we earned from each of these products. So if we are to use formulas and functions, this process will take us a lot of time. But pivot tables make it very easy to get such insight from this data. So first of all, I'm going to select the entire data by clicking on this one and I'll press Ctrl Shift forward, then down to select the entire data. First, I'll turn this into an official Excel table by going to Insert, then clicking on Table like that. Then we click OK. I'll just remove the filters and the blended rows. Turning our data into an official Excel table is very important because in the future, if we want to add more entries to this data, we can easily add and refresh the pivot table and the entire data will populate. So once we do that, we can go back to Insert and this time around we'll say Pivot Table. This will allow us to analyze the data using pivot tables. Just click on it and you have this pop-up asking you whether you want to use this existing worksheet or you want a new worksheet. So just choose New Worksheet and click OK. So we'll have this interface here, and at the far right here you'll be able to see the pivot table fields. So we have the fields that came from our table, then we also have the filters there, columns, values and rows. Now to see what is happening, I'll just get the customers here and drag it into the rows column here like so. Then you'll be able to see the customers like that, and you can see that Excel quickly gives us all the customers that we have. Now if you want to see the revenue by each of these customer, you go back to your fields, then you just get the revenue, then drag it into the values here. Everything you want to calculate will go into the values field, so just let go in there and you'll be able to see your revenue like that. So we can format it a little bit, just right click on any of these cells like so, then you can go to number format, then here we can choose currents and just get rid of the decimals here, click OK, and we have the current sign. Again, I'll right click on any of the cells, then I'll go to sort largest to smallest, and then we are able to see that most of the revenue came from customer E. Apart from that, you can even rename this header here that says sum of revenue. We can say total revenue, for example, like that. By simply using a pivot table, we've seen that we're able to get the revenue for each of these customers very easily. We can take this further and find the total number of orders for each of these customers. I'll go back to the fields here and I'll drag order ID and just put it in the values here. But then when we look at it, this doesn't seem okay. We can't have all these orders when in our data we just have a few orders here. So what Excel is doing here is just adding these values for each of these customers. So go back to our pivot table. Again, you just right click on this one, then go to where it says summarize value by, then just pick count. Like that, we're able to see the number of orders for each of these customers. If you want, you can just rename these as orders. Further, we can add another column here to show this revenue as a percentage, so that we're able to know how much in percentages we earned from each of these customers. I'll go back to my fields here, I'll pick the revenue again and just drag it into the values like that. Once I have it, I'll just right click on any of these cells like so. Then I'll go to where it says show value as, then we'll say percentage of column total. Click on it and you have the percentages for each of these customers. Now if there's some of this data that you no longer want to see, like the orders for example, we can just go back to the values here, drag the orders out and just leave it anywhere here, and just like that it goes away. So apart from looking at the revenue by customer, we can also find out the revenue by the product. So I'll just drag the customer out of these rows and I'll go back to my fields here and I'll pick the product and drag them into rows. Like that, you're able to see our product. We'll do the same process, just right click, sort by largest to smallest. And here we're able to see that most of the revenue is coming from athletic shoes, then Oxford shoes, and lastly slippers. So again, this shows us how much easy it is to get the data you want using pivot tables. Formulas and functions here would have taken a lot of time. So we can also combine the products and the customers to see what kind of products each customer was interested in. So I'll just go back to my fields here, pick the customer and put them in the rows there. And just from here, you are able to see that athletic shoes were bought by customer C, E and B, Oxford shoes by these customers, and so on. Then if you want, you can just get the customers and drag them on top like that, and the table changes. Now you're able to see that customer E got these, customer C got only athletic shoes, meaning that if we have to market to this customer, we'll just concentrate on athletic shoes. Customer B, these ones, and so on. Now that we have analyzed our data, I'll just go back into the rows. I'll take out the customer ID like so. I'll just remain with the products. Now I want to find out how much profit we had just from each of these products. So I also get these percentages out by going into the values and dragging this one out. You can see that in our fields here we don't have the profit, but as we know in simple terms, profit is always equal to the revenue minus the product cost. So for comparison's sake, I'll just get the product cost and put them in there. So we are able to see that this was the revenue for athletic shoes, but this was the cost of making these shoes. Now to find the profit which we want to put in this column, we're not going to use formulas or functions like we would do in a regular table. Instead, we're going to do something slightly different that is meant for pivot tables. So on top here, we'll just go to this tab that says Pivot Table Analyze. You click on it. Then here you'll see where it says Fields, Items and Sets. Just click on it. Then here you click Calculated Fields. So here we are going to give the name of the field that we want to calculate. In our case, it's profit. So for the formula here, we'll say equals revenue, just insert it, minus product cost here, again you insert it, then you click OK. Just like that, the pivot table will do the calculations and it will give us the profit in here. So if you want, you can change the name here, but ultimately we're able to see the profit by product. So we can sort this one from largest to smallest, and we can see that most of the profit came from athletic shoes, then slippers, and lastly Oxford. Even though the Oxford shoes had the second highest revenue, it did not have the second highest profit. So this is very important in analysis. So we can also see the profit by customer. We can go back to our fields here. We can just get rid of the product like so. Then we can pick the customer and just drag them in there. And we're able to see how much profit we earned from each of these customers. The other thing we can do, let me just drag out some of these. So I'll just remove the product cost. I'll also remove the revenue like that. I'll just remain with the profit. We can get the products here and just put them in the columns like that. And once we do that, we're able to see that from customer A, we didn't have any profit on athletic shoes, only on slippers and Oxford shoes. For customer C, there was no profit on slippers and Oxford shoes, only on athletic shoes. And of course, this works the other way around. You can get the product and put them in the rows, and get the customers, put them in the columns, and it will still work like that. So you can see how easy it was to analyze this data just by using the pivot table. The last thing we're going to do is to use charts and slicers. So here on the tabs on top here, you can place on insert, and here you can pick on any chart that you want. So let's say recommended charts. Then we'll just say OK on this one. So we have our chart here that shows us the customer and the profit we made from each of these customers. Now the most interesting thing about this is you can insert a slicer. You can just click where it says slicer here. And this slicer can be for different things. So for us, we're going to say for product and click OK. Let me just drag it here. So if we just click on Oxford shoe, you can see that the chart changes to show us the profit only for Oxford shoes. If we click for athletic shoes, again it changes to show us the profit for athletic shoes, and it does the same for slippers like that. And if we click control, we choose this one and that one, again it will just show us for these two. Then you can format these charts and tables however you want, but ultimately we are able to see how easy it is to analyze our data using pivot tables. So rather than using formulas and functions, you can just use pivot tables and they'll be much quicker. Now for the final project, we're going to put everything we have learned together and make a traveling inspiration template. So for this project, I'm going to use the online version of Excel. You can find it on office.com. Then you just click Excel here, then you can click new workbook. So I've already done that, and I've already prepared some data that we're going to use here. We have the title of this table, the destination, and all the other necessary information for traveling. So first of all, we want to start by formatting this table. So what I'll do is just select this entire data like so. Then we'll just go to borders here, then click on border color, then I'll just choose this green color. You can choose any color of your choice. Once I do that, I'll just place on these borders so that I have borders all around. Then I'm going to highlight these cells and just merge them. So I'll just click this tab here like so, and I'll make sure this is on the center by going to the alignment and choosing the center. Then I'll just make this bold and just increase the font size. Then I'll select this one again, go back to borders, just select this bottom border, and I'll do the same for this one. Go back and select the bottom border. This is already taking shape. I just select this one, go to the bucket here to choose a fill color, and I'll just choose this green color there, and I'll do the same for these titles on the bucket, and I'll just choose a lighter color like this one. So I'll just select these values. All of them should have the current format. I'll just go here where it says general, then I'll click on currents like that. Then I'll just remove the decimals here. Now for the status, which is empty, we want a drop down where we're able to choose whether we have visited the place or we have not visited it. So just do some data validation in here. Just highlight the entire column, then go to data validation. Then here on the drop down, you just choose list. Then here you can put your list to say visited, comma, not visited. Just click apply and you have your drop down. So now we can just choose like so. Okay, so we are done with our table. If we visit a place, we can change this status to visit, and we can add our comment here about the experience we had when we visited a certain place. Now we're going to make a dashboard to be able to show this information for each of these destinations. So down here, just click the plus sign to make a new sheet, and just right click, rename, and we'll just call this as dashboard. For our dashboard, we'll start by choosing the destination. So I'll say choose destination. Then we're going to do some data validation again in here so that we're able to choose one destination. So just go to the data tab, data validation again. Then we'll select list. Then here we're going to choose all our destination by going to our data table, then just picking all the destination from here and clicking apply. Okay, so now we are able to choose any destination that we want, like so. Next, want to see the total cost of going to this destination. So here we'll just say, then I'll just highlight these cells and just merge them, home tab, and just click merge. Again, I'll put it on the center like that. Then again, I'll just merge these 4 cells here. That's where the total cost will be. So just say merge, and we'll leave it like that for a moment. So here the summary of the table that shows us the cost distribution for this trip. So here I'll just say item, then here I'll say cost. So these items that we want to put here are these that we have here: transport, food, and so on. So I'll just manually write them here. Okay, once we do that, we'll format it a little bit. I'll just merge these 2 cells again, like that. Then I'll put all of them on the center. I'll select this entire small table and go to borders, then I'll select these borders. I'll do the same for this one, select the borders, and even for this one, the borders like that. Just add the bottom border here, like so. Then we'll have a fill color there. Great. Now to get the cost for each of these, we're going to use the XLOOKUP and we'll get the values from our table. So here we'll just say equals XLOOKUP. Then the lookup value is whatsoever value that will be here, that we'll choose here. The lookup array is from here, from these destinations. And the return array, we want to get the transport. So just choose this here, then cross the function. And so we have the transport for this destination. We'll do the same for food and the rest. Okay, so we have our values there. If we change our destination here, let's say Victoria Falls, you can see that our data changes as well. Now to get the total cost here of this trip, we're going to add all these values and just show it here. So we'll say equals sum, then we'll select all these values like that. We can just put the $sign by going back to our currency here and just choose the currency like that. Again, we'll get rid of the decimals. We'll do the same for these. Great. Then we'll just center this like so and then make it big. There we have it. So when we change again there, you can see the total cost changes. Now we want to show a graph here that distributes these values. I'll just highlight this data like so, then we'll go to insert, then we'll click on the chart there, and we have our chart like that. I'll just align it. I'll get rid of this series here by clicking on it, then pressing delete. I'll do the same for the chart title. Great. Now you can just click on any of these bars, then click format, just click the drop down, and we'll choose that green, like that. Then here where it says data labels, we'll just switch it on. Then we can go to horizontal axis and just decrease the gap width here. Great. Now that we have done that, we can move on. So here we want to show the places that we have not visited. So just right here. So again, I'll choose 2 cells, just merge them like that, then make sure this is on the center. And on the bucket, I'll just click that fill, then go to the borders, and I'll just create the borders like that. Then I'll highlight all the cells up to the end, go to borders, again I'll click those borders. So in here we want to get all the places that we have not visited. We're going to use the filter function and we'll say equals filter. For the array that we want to filter, we'll just go back to our data table here and we want to filter this array. Then you put a comma. For the include this one, you're going to pick the status column. Then you say equals, in quotation marks, you just say not visited. Close the quotation, close the function. and we have all the places that we have not visited like that. Then here we'll make another table that shows the experience we've had in that place that we have visited. So here we'll just say my experience. Again, we'll choose the two of them, merge them, then we make sure this is at the center and also at the center there. Make it bold and just make sure that we choose this again. Like that. Then we're just going to merge all the cells that are inside here. Great. So for the experience from the table, we are going to get this comment column that is here. So to do that, we're going to use the XLOOKUP once more. So just say equals XLOOKUP. For the lookup value, pick this one. The lookup array, we go back to our table and pick this. And the return array, what we want to get the comments there. Close the function like that. So we're able to see our comment here. So let me just bring this on top. Like that. But then we can see a 0 here, so we don't want to see a 0. If we have not visited that place, we want to show that we have not visited. So we're going to modify our function. I'll just copy everything here and cut it. So here we're going to use the if function. We'll say if the value we're looking for is giving us 0 is equal to 0, then we should say not visited yet. Otherwise, we should show the actual comment, which is this one. Okay, so this may look complicated, but what we are simply saying is if we check for the comment and we find that it's giving us 0, then we're going to say not visited yet. But if it's not 0, then we're going to show the actual comment, which is this one. So press enter, and you can see it's saying not visited yet because we have not visited this place. So if I change to the place that we have visited, and you can see the comment here. So what we're going to do is just to go on wrap here on the wrap tile, just click on it, and there you have our comment. Now when we change to another place, you can see the comment changes as well. Now this looks great already. So we have our dashboard here. We're able to see the information that we need. The last thing we're going to do is just go on view. Then here we'll just remove the grid lines by unchecking this box here, like so. And look at that. Our dashboard is ready and beautiful. Now whenever you change the destination, every information here updates. So this was our final project, to put everything that we have learned together and be able to see what we can build. So I'll leave this worksheet in the description below so that you can work on it and make the changes that you want. Alright, we've come to the end of our Excel course. I really hope you had fun and you have learned Excel. Now you can go out there and practice. I've left a lot of Excel files in the description. You can feel free to download them and use them to make your work easy. So thank you so much for watching. You can also subscribe to my newsletter and to this channel. I'll see you in the next one.